Now, there was nothing toxic in any of the train cars that derailed. We're told there's some silicone pellets, some lubricant, and then some vapor from a refrigerant. But again, nothing toxic. There were no evacuations. Nobody was in any danger.
And once again, on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see a live picture of the Mississippi River Bridge. That's I-10 westbound. The bridge is closed. Traffic backed up to Acadian and getting worse. We'll continue to monitor this traffic for you. We'll have more details when we return.
Well, we're here now at the second off-ramp as we try to reach Laplace. The first time we tried to turn off, there was about 3 feet of standing water on the off-ramp, so none of our trucks could get through. Now we're approaching I-10. Once again, our second cutoff. Now, as we see, a truck stopped in the middle of the road. Our National Guard members trying to see if we can get through, hopefully to make it to Laplace to pull off this high water rescue.
Memories of World War II are fading, partly because of time and partly because of pain.
David, how is it out there?
Danielle, if you look around the grounds of Homa's house, you'll notice that there aren't very many blankets and there aren't very many tarps. And that might seem surprising given that this plantation has a worldwide reputation, especially for its gardens. But the head groundskeeper told me that, no, that's actually the result of months of hard work and preparation. And proof that the royal treatment is far more powerful than any cancer treatment.
David, how is it going over there? I'm sure it's exciting.
Yes, it's very exciting, Danielle. The party is underway, although the guest of honor has not yet made an appearance. Congressman Cassidy is expected to show up later tonight once the results are a little bit more settled. But for now, about 300 of his biggest supporters are here. So you can take a look around the room. There are a handful of local and state level politicians who have come out to support Congressman Cassidy in his run for Senate. Congressman had a relatively quiet day for him today. No public appearances, although he was very busy this past weekend trying to get out the final few votes as he's challenging for Senator Mary Landrieu's seat in Washington.
The spookiest part of this haunted plantation has to be this mirror you see in front of me. Now, you notice all the smudges. Well, of course, this mirror has been cleaned and the smudges just don't come out. In fact, it's even been re-silvered twice, and each time the smudges reappear in the exact same shape and the exact same location. And of course, over the years, a lot of people have taken photos of themselves in front of the mirror, and a large number of them say they've seen ghosts appear in the stairs behind me.
Eddie Robinson Drive was a center of the South Baton Rouge community for decades.
Well, you know, it was vibrant when I was coming up, even at the Lincoln Theater. I used to go watch movies right there and everything. But as time went on and the economy went on, you know, things just kind of went down. People got to moving out.
Kevin Harris doesn't live here, but when he looked around, he could see that it needed attention.
People need jobs. Houses are in dire shape of needing repair.
His background is in art, so Harris opened up the Museum of Public Art behind me. He searched for some of the best spray painters in the world and asked them to volunteer their time and their talents to paint murals here. Many of them said yes.
It is a big gift for the public and for people who grow up and live here in this neighborhood.
Case is a famous street artist from Germany who spent 11 days on a mural at Eddie Robinson and South Boulevard. He saw firsthand how the neighborhood has reacted to all the artwork.
Some people kept passing through and asking what it is and asking me some question and start smiling, be happy and start to think about what it is, and which is a nice effect of such a project.
Someone asked me, well, aren't you worried about somebody messing up? No, they won't even touch it. And if they see somebody else doing it, they might just handle it themselves, you know what I'm saying? They love it.
The artists may be famous, but many of them go out of their way to showcase the community in their work.
Sometimes they will go through the neighborhood and actually take pictures of people with the intentions of painting, you know, people from the neighborhood.
Harris doesn't want to just see kids from the neighborhood in the art. He wants to see them making the art. The museum is meant to inspire.
And we like to invite artists to come who have experience in teaching programs, youth programs.
So the artists working now are role models. And even though he came from 5,000 miles away, Case understood Harris's vision for the neighborhood.
Every single hand got another, show another situation by moving. And it's become from a fist to a victory symbol.
In Baton Rouge, David Lippman, NBC 33 News.
Good evening, I'm David Lippman in for John Burns. Thanks for choosing NBC 33 News at 10 for your news tonight. When the Tigers played at Minute Maid Park earlier this season, Alex Bregman didn't know it would be his future home. But tonight, the Houston Astros chose Bregman, the #2 pick in the Major League Draft.
Houston Astros select Alex Bregman.
It really hasn't hit me yet. It's a dream come true. You grow up as a little kid playing baseball and dreaming about playing at the professional level one day, and it's really just a dream come true to hear your name called.
Alex Bregman turned down close to $1 million when he was drafted out of high school. He'll make a lot more as the number 2 overall pick.
It's the best decision I ever made, the most fun I've ever had for 3 years, and I'm just so happy.
This kid has been the greatest joy for a coach to have for 3 years. I mean, he's never been an ounce of trouble. He goes to the field every day and works as hard as anybody I've ever coached.
Bregman had dozens of friends, family, and teammates with him when he found out he was Houston's choice. But he says he hasn't spent too much time thinking about the start of his pro career.
I just wanted us to go to Omaha, and I thought everything else would take care of itself, and it did.
If the Tigers had split with UL, they probably would have been playing around the same time as the start of the draft. But since they already clinched their spot in Omaha, everyone could celebrate what he's done for LSU and what he might do in the future.
We've got still some work to do with him in his LSU career. Hopefully it'll last about 5 more games, 5 more wins. And then, he can go off and, have a terrific major league career. I just love him. I love him like he's my own son.
The last time a Tiger was taken that high in the draft, when Ben McDonald went first overall in 1989. Now, coming up later in the newscast, we'll have much more from the Tigers and their fans about making another trip to Omaha. A federal judge ordered the last imprisoned member of the Angola Three to go free tonight. The Angola Three were accused of killing corrections officer Brent Miller. Robert King was released in 2001. Herman Wallace died 3 days after he was released in October of 2013. But Albert Woodfox has been in solitary confinement for 42 years. Woodfox's conviction has been overturned 3 times already. Today, a judge ruled that since he's not convicted of any crimes at this point, he can't be held in prison anymore. King has been fighting for Woodfox's release, saying that solitary confinement is a, quote, dehumanizing punishment.
You are in a cell like that for 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. You acclimate yourself to short and small distances, and that in itself is dehumanizing.
The Attorney General's office disagrees with the decision. In a statement this evening, a spokesperson told NBC 33, quote, "With today's order, the court would see fit to set free a twice convicted murderer. This order arbitrarily sets aside jury decisions and gives a free pass to a murderer based on faulty procedural issues," end quote. The Attorney General's office is seeking an emergency stay from the 5th Court of Appeals that would keep Woodfox in jail. In McKinney, Texas, hundreds of people marched tonight to call for an end to police brutality. Demonstrators are reacting to cell phone video that shows a police officer pushing a 15-year-old girl to the ground and pointing his gun at other teens during a pool party. People in the community have mixed views about what happened. Most of them believe the officer went too far, but others say the teens shouldn't have been there and they were too aggressive toward the officer and neighbors. That officer is on administrative leave while police continue to investigate. At the state capitol, lawmakers felt that too many people are in prison for minor offenses like possessing marijuana. So they voted to reduce fines and jail time by 50% for someone's second or third marijuana offense. Their first-time offenders will still be punished in full to try and keep them from doing it again. And this bill does not apply to anyone caught with synthetic marijuana. The bill now goes to Governor Jindal for his likely signature. The state Senate was busy putting the final touches on this year's session. They passed their own version of the state's $24.5 billion budget today. Only 3 senators voted against it. And the version passed by the Senate includes more money than the House version, so representatives will have to vote again before the governor could sign off on it. The session ends Thursday night. Louisiana's higher ed leaders are looking beyond this year's state budget. Our colleges and universities are in the middle of a long process to produce more graduates to meet all the jobs that will come to the state. The schools will need to graduate thousands more people every year to fill all the jobs that are projected to come here by the end of the decade. And that's why leaders say funding for education is so crucial to our future.
Organizations are making those billions of dollars of investments. They will happen, and we can really allow this to happen in one of 2 ways. We can either educate and train the people of Louisiana to fill those jobs, or we can watch as people come from not only other states but also other countries to fill those positions.
Economists believe that companies will bring another 14,000 jobs in fields like construction, energy, and computer science. If you're a frequent flyer, the Baton Rouge airport just got even easier to use thanks to TSA PreCheck. That program has been around for a while, but finally made it to BTR. A pre-check lets low-risk passengers zip through a separate line at security without having to get undressed or take everything out of your carry-on.
It makes life easier by not having to remove your shoes, your belt, your jacket, your laptop, your 311 items. There's never a line going through the TSA pre-checks.
We also want you to know that if you have the TSA pre-check program benefit and you come to the airport and that lane doesn't happen to be running, you will still get expedited screening, which means that you won't have to take your shoes, your belt, or your light jacket off, but you will have to take your 311 bag and your laptop out of your suitcase.
10,000 people in Louisiana are already signed up, including 3,000 in Baton Rouge. So here are the requirements for you. You have to be an American citizen or have a work visa, and it costs $85 to sign up. Members of the armed forces, including the National Guard and the Reserves, already qualify. You have to have your fingerprints taken during an in-person application process. Then once you apply, you should get your pre-check number in the mail in about 2 to 3 weeks, and it'll last you for 5 years. If you're planning on suing BP for any oil spill related losses, you have less than 2 hours to do so. At midnight, the online system shuts off and nothing else will be accepted. Lots of people have filed for losses today, and hundreds of thousands of people have filed in just the last week. The people who do make that deadline may be eligible for money, thanks to a 2012 settlement that plaintiffs' lawyers struck with BP. If you know someone who's down on their luck, we have an opportunity that you can share. Stylists are giving homeless people free haircuts at the USS Kid Museum. We'll explain a little later. But first, they can barely contain their excitement. And hey, why should they? Our Tigers are heading to Omaha. We'll get their reaction to the big win next on NBC 33 News at 10.